Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Royalty Cut here, and in today's tutorial I'll be taking you through the process of how to make this beautiful straight gown dress with a mono sleeve and also a side ruffle. If this video is a video you're interested in, please watch to the end, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. So basically for this tutorial, I'll be making use of this fabric you see over here, and this is a crepe fabric. So I have about 2.5 yards of this material, but if you have 3 yards, I think it should be better to be on the safer side. So just go ahead and get 3 yards for it. Then I also went ahead to get this matching zipper that I'll be using for the back piece of this dress. So these are the two materials that I'll be working with. So for the cutting of this dress, I'm just going to go ahead and fold my fabric into two. After folding my fabric into two, this is what I have here. And I folded with my round hip measurement, which is 42, divided by 4 is 10.5. So I went ahead to add extra 1.5 inch to the main measurement. And what I have here is 11.5 inches for the folding. So that is basically what I folded with, 11.5. So after that, I went ahead to measuring the full length of this dress. Now the full length for this dress, I'm working with the full length of 60 inches. So since this is a skirt that we are cutting, I'm going to be subtracting the half length, which is the measurement from the shoulder to the waist. And I have 17 inches for my half length. So I have 17 inches here. So I'm just going to go ahead and place 17 inches at the tip of this material for us to get our full length. And I think I'll be making use of everything I have here because I have 60-inch here, and the rest I will use it for both the folded and to complete the 63 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark a line at this point for it to be serving as our waistline. So after that, at this waistline, I'm going to be dividing my round waist measurement into four. And I'm working with a round waist of 32 inches. 32 inches divided by 4 is 8.25. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 8.25 at this point. And I'll go ahead and add extra 1.5 inches for the stitching. Now, after that, from the waistline, I'll go ahead and mark my hip length. Now, I'm going to go ahead and place the 17 inches at this waist length line, and my hip length is 25 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 25 inches at this point. Now, after that, I'll go ahead and mark my knee length. Now, my knee length is 42 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 42 inches at this point, and the rest will be serving as our full length. So at the hip line, I'll divide my round hip into 4, which is 42 divided by 4 is 10.5. So I'll go ahead and mark 10.5, and I'll go ahead and add extra 1.5 inches for stitching it down. So at the knee line, I'm going to go ahead and measure what I have here at the waistline. I have 10 inches here. So I'm going to go ahead and impute the same 10 inches at this knee line without any allowance. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect it. So from this waistline in a curvy way, I'll be connecting to the hip length, just like you see. So from the hip length in a curvy way too, I'll be connecting it to the knee length. So from the knee length directly, I'll go ahead and impute the 10 inches we have at this knee length at the full length of our gown. So I'm going to mark 10 inches here. So from this knee length in a straight way, I'm going to be connecting it all the way down to the full length of this dress. So after thickening the line this way, this is what I have here. So the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is to cut this out. After cutting this out, this is what I have here. So I'm just going to go ahead and notch the center part of this skirt, this folded edge. I'm just going to notch it a little bit for us to get the center. Now I'm going to go ahead and pin the sides of this cutout because my fabric moves a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a pin to hold it down. So after pinning the center side of this dress down, I'm just going to go ahead and place this aside and fold my fabric again into two. But this time around, I'm going to be adding extra 1 inch to the folding width that we folded with earlier. So basically at this point, after folding my fabric into two, I went ahead to cut out the excess that was remaining. So this is it. My fabric is folded into two. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the front piece that we cut out earlier and place on it. Now remember that this second fabric I folded, I added 1 inch to the 12 inches that I folded with for the first one because we'll be using 1 inch for our zipper allowance. So instead of folding with 12 inches, just like I folded for the front piece, I folded with 13 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and place this front piece on top of it, leaving about 1 inch of space at the opening of this place. Now I make sure that this folded edge is facing the open edge of this two folded fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and extend the line at this hip length because we'll be contouring our zipper part. So at the waist length of this second folded edge, I'm going to be marking in half of an inch this way. Now from this half of an inch that I marked in, I'm just going to go ahead and blend it into this hip length that we have here. I don't know if you can see. From this measurement I have at this folded edge, I took in half inch and I blended a half of an inch inwards to this hip length. Now the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is to cut this out from this side, then from this half inch all the way down, and that will be that for the back piece. So I'm going to go ahead and place out this front piece and go ahead and notch that point that I have half of an inch because that is where our zipper will be starting from. So this is the front piece, and as you can see, the back piece is slitted into two. So let's go ahead and cut the upper body of this dress. So for the upper body of this dress, I have this little piece that you see over here that I cut out. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold it into two because I want to be cutting the front piece and the back piece of this dress together. So I'm going to fold it equally into two, just like you see me do over here. And I'm going to go ahead and fold it again. But this time around, I'm not going to be making this second folded edge to be reaching this open part. I'm going to be leaving about 1 inch at that point so that it will be serving as our zipper allowance. I don't know if you can see. So the under part is not equal. I'm just going to go ahead and trim it for it to be equal. So after trimming it out, this is what I have. So we'll be cutting our front piece and our back piece together with this piece. So I'm going to make sure that this 1 inch part is facing me. So I'm going to go ahead. This line will be serving as our shoulder line. So let's go ahead and impute our vertical measurement. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to be marking my bust point. And the bust point I'm working with is 9 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 9 inches. And I'll be working with the waistline of 16 inches. So this is what I have here. Now for our shoulder to shoulder measurement, I'm working with 18 inches. So I'll just go ahead and divide the 18 inches into two, and I have 8 inches. So the measurement I'll be taking will be from the folded edge and not from the 1 inch that I gave. So I went ahead to mark 8 inches at the shoulder line, as you can see, and I also went ahead to divide my armhole measurement, and I'm working with 16 inches. 16 inches to divided by 2 is 8 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead from the shoulder line. I'm going to be marking 8 inches vertically, just like you see me do here. Now the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is to connect our shoulder measurement down to our armhole measurement in a vertical way, this way. So after that, we're going to determine how we want our neck area to be. So for the neck width, I'll be working with the neck width of 5 inches. Now while doing this, just make sure that you have extra 3 inches remaining before your armhole. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 5 inches this way, just like you see me do here, as you can see. So let me go ahead and remeasure it. As you can see, I have 3 inches left here, so make sure yours is 3 inches. So for the depth, I'll be working with 2 inches. Since this is a mono sleeve, you don't really have to go in too deep because this depth is just what we are going to be using as a guideline while achieving our mono sleeve. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect the 5 inch to that 2 inch in a vertical way. And while doing this, just make sure that you connect it into that 1 inch line that you have, just like you see me do over here, because we'll be cutting it out together. Now after that, the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is to come down by 1 inch at our armhole line for our shoulder slope. So I went ahead to mark 1 inch, and I'll be connecting it in a vertical way to our neck width. And after that, I'll go ahead and divide what I have left. I have 7 inches left here. So I'll go ahead and divide it into 2, which is 3.5. I marked that down. So after that, at the point that I marked 3.5 inches, I'm going to go ahead and go in by half of an inch. Now for that half of an inch, I'm just going to go ahead and divide my round bust measurement into 4. And I'm working with 36 inches. 36 inches divided by 4 is 9 inches. So at the armhole line there that I marked 8 inches, I'm just going to go ahead and mark the 9 inches, just like you see me do over here. So after marking the 9 inches, I'm going to go ahead and connect that half of an inch that I have. I added 1.5 inches after that for the allowance of our dress, since that was the allowance we added for the skirt. So after the 9 inches, I added 1.5 and I went ahead to extend it at our bust point line. So from that half inch, I connected it back into the 1 inch shoulder slope that we have. Then from the half into in a curvy way, I connected it into the round bust measurement that we have, just like you see me do over here, and that is our armhole curve. So let's go over to our round waist measurement. I'm working with a round waist of 32 inches. Now 32 inches divided by 4 is 8.25. At the waist length, I marked 8.25 and I also went ahead to add 1.5 inch for our allowance to it, and I went ahead to connect it all the way down to the full length. Now after that, let's go ahead and cut this out. After cutting this out, the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to work on our zipper area for blending the zipper to avoid zip bulge. So at that 1 inch, I'm just going to go ahead and divide that 1 inch into 2. So dividing it into 2 is 5 inches on 0.5 inch at both sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark it. Now at the inner point of that 5 inch, just go ahead and connect it outward this way, just like you see me do over here. And after that, I went ahead to cut it out all the way down to that part that I marked my bust point. Now I'm going to go ahead and notch the 1 inch for our zipper at the upper body, just like you see me do over here. So I went ahead to notch it, and that is that for the back piece. Now opening this up, we have our front piece and our back piece together, just like you see me do over here, as you can see. So the back piece is slitted into 2. So just go ahead and use a loose stitch to join your 2 back piece, or moreover, just go ahead and use a pin to hold down that 1 inch together, because we'll be needing the 2 pieces to stay together for us to get our mono sleeve. So I went ahead to use my pin to join in that 1 inch zipper place. So just make sure that you measure in your 1 inch to be sure that your pin is at that 1 inch. So I pinned mine down, and opening it up, this is what it is looking like. So you can use a loose stitch for it so that afterwards you can open it off. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring our front piece and place it right side facing each other with the back piece, because right now we are going to be determining how our neck area will be, or the mono strip that we are working with. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and place my check from the neck width that we have here in a curvy way all the way down to our armhole, just like you see me do over here. So from that point of our neck width, you can use a freehand for this, or you can go ahead and use your curve ruler for it. So from the neck width, just go ahead in any curvy way that you know, make sure that it's connecting down into that armhole line. So for me, I made use of my curve ruler, just like you see me do over here. So I went ahead to connect it all the way down to the armhole. And I also went ahead to actually blend it the more so that the lines will be more visible to you. So I just went in to blend it, and this is what it is looking like. Basically, after drawing the curve, this is what you can see. So from this neck width, I curved it down to the armhole of the left side because I want the mono sleeve to be at the right side. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this open. Now while cutting it, just make sure you leave about half of an inch upwards. I don't know if you can see this line. I'll be leaving half of an inch upward for turning it over. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this open this way. Cut opening this is what it is looking like. So the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is to open this up this way, as you can see. So I'm just going to go ahead, either use the bias or go ahead to fold in the sides and top stitch it, but just make sure that this neck area edge is very neat, and also the neck area edge for the back piece is very neat. Now whatever thing you'll be doing for this back piece, just make sure you do it separately. Don't join it before folding the neck area together, so that it does not join together, because we're going to be attaching a zipper. So just go ahead and separate it this way, just like I did. So whether what you'll be using a bias or folding it, just go ahead and do it separately. After that, we will now go ahead and join the back piece with about 1 inch that we added for the zipper in a loose stitch. Basically, at this point, I was done turning over the neck area, and I also forgot to tell you to fold or bias the armhole area too. So I actually went ahead to do mine. This is the back piece and this is the front piece. Just as you can see, I folded the neck place this way, and I also went ahead to fold the armhole area. Then for the other part of the back, remember that there was no armhole to it, so I just folded the neck area only. So I'm just going to go ahead and place the two back pieces aside and go ahead to work on the front piece with the skirt. So for this front piece, I'm going to be folding it into two equal parts for us to get the center of this top. So after getting the center, just go ahead and notch it this way, just like you see me do over here. And I'll go ahead and bring the front piece that we had earlier of our skirt. So this is the front piece. And remember, we also notched the center while notching it. So I'm just going to go ahead and place the front piece and the back piece right side facing each other from the waist area this way. I don't know if you can see. So after placing it this way, I'm just going to go ahead and use about ½ inch or quarter of an inch to join the 2 points together this way. So I'm just going to join it with ½ of an inch, both the skirt and the upper part. So for the back piece, I'll go ahead and bring one part of our skirt piece. Remember, it was in 2 pieces. Now this is the notched area this way. So I'm going to go ahead and bring any of our front piece this way and also place it right side facing each other. But this time around, make sure that your zipper allowance of your upper body is facing the zipper allowance of your skirt piece. So this is the other part of the back piece, so I'm just going to place it right side facing each other. This is the zipper allowance area, so I'm going to be stitching the shoulder area to it about ½ of an inch or quarter of an inch for this part. Then for the other side of the skirt too, I'm just going to go ahead and place it right side facing each other too, making sure that the zipper allowance part is facing each other. Now this is the zipper allowance part, so I'm just going to go ahead and place it this way, just like you see me do over here, and I'll be using about ½ of an inch to stitch down this waist area. At this point, I was done joining the upper body and the skirt part of both the front piece and the back piece together, and this is what I have left here. So this is the front piece, as you can see. I joined it with quarter of an inch, and I also do the same thing for the two back piece. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring the two back piece that we have earlier and place it right side this way, because we will be attaching the zipper now. So I'm just going to go ahead and place it right side facing each other, making sure that the zipper allowance area is facing the other side this way. So I'm just going to go ahead and arrange this. So after placing it this way, the front, the left side and the right side of our back piece, as you can see, now I'm going to be determining where I want my zipper to be starting and stopping from. So from this point that I have here, remember we already cut out some inches away from it. So I'm going to be using my tape ruler to determine how down I want the zipper area to be. So from this zipper area, from the waistline, from the waistline, I'm going to be coming out by 10 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 10 inches at this point. So that's where our zipper will be starting from. Now remember, we inserted 1 inch from the cutting. So I'm going to go ahead and use 1 inch to insert our zipper from this point all the way down here, and it will be stopping at this 10 inch that I marked. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and use the remaining 1 inch to join from this point that I marked all the way down to the full length of this gown with 1 inch, and I'm going to go ahead and open press it too. Basically, at this point, I was done attaching the zipper to the dress, and this is what it is looking like. As you can see, I also went ahead to use 1 inch to join the downside of this dress. So the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to go ahead and cut out a very long piece that I'll be using for the ruffle. Now earlier I told you I was making two making use of 2.5 yards, but if you have 3 yards, it should be perfect. So due to that, I don't have enough material for my ruffle, so I'm just going to go ahead and minimize what I have here. So remember that the length of the skirt we cut out was 45 inches. So for this band, I have about 72 inches of band here. So I just have a little to work with at the end of the day. So I went ahead to cut out 2 pieces of band. Now for the width of this band unfold, I have 2.5 inches. Unfold this way. I have 2.5 inches. So, but if you have a very long material, just go ahead and make sure that yours is way too long so that you can get a fuller ruffle. So for me, I'm just going to go ahead and try to minimize mine. So I have these two different material, these two pieces here. I'm going to go ahead and get our front piece because we'll be attaching the ruffles before joining the sides of this dress. So this is the front piece that we worked on earlier. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to the right side this way, just like you see me do over here. Now from this waistline, I'm just going to go ahead and get my ruffle. I'm going to be folding it into two. I don't know if you can see. Now, since my material is not long enough for what I want to be using it for, I'm going to be pleating my ruffle instead of doing a gathers. So if you have a very long fabric, just go ahead and do a gathers on it so that your ruffle will be a bit fuller. But for me, since I'm minimizing my material, I'm just going to go ahead and pleat it. But if you think you still want pleating, just go ahead and do that. Now remember, we added 1.5 inch for seam allowance to this dress. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 1.5 inch all the way down to the full length of this dress, starting from these edges that we have. I don't know if you can see. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark it all the way down. So at this point, I just marked it for me to just show you what I'll be doing. Then afterwards, off camera, I'll just go ahead and mark the rest and work on it too. So let's just assume that this is the 1.5 inch because it is, although I did not extend it all the way down. Now I'm just going to go ahead and get this ruffle that you see over here. And I'll make sure that this open edge that I have at this band is facing outward this way, because at the end of the day, we'll be having something like this. I don't know if you can see. So I'll make sure that the folded part is inward. So I'm going to be placing this open edge directly on this line that I marked 1.5 inches for the seam allowance this way. And I'm going to go ahead and pin this down. So for the pleating, I'll go ahead and pleat any way that I want, just to make sure that this band, all this length of this band will be entering at the full length. So for the pleating, I can just go ahead and pick up a little piece like this and go ahead and pin it down. And also go ahead and pick up a little piece like this and also go ahead and pin it down this way. I don't know if you can see. I'll also go ahead and pick up a little piece again, fold it up this way and also pin it down. Now this is what I'll be basically doing from this point all the way down to the full length of this dress, using this 1.5 inch that we have here as a guide to do it. Now I'm going to go ahead and pleat this. Then after pleating it, I'll also go ahead and do the same pleating on the other side of this, our front piece, and I'll be showing you what it looks like. So basically at this point, I was done attaching the ruffles of the rope down to the full length of this dress. I don't know if you can see. I also went ahead to do the same thing for the other side, and this is what it is looking like. Opening it up, we should be having something like this at the end of the day. Now my ruffles is not full because the material was limited, but make yours as long as possible so that your ruffles will be very full. So I'm just going to go ahead and place this inward this way, just like it was when I was pleating it. Just like you can see here, it's inward. So I'm going to go ahead and bring our back piece, because we'll be placing it right side facing each other with this front piece that we have here. So this is the back piece we have, and this is what we are going to be doing. I'm going to place it right side facing each other this way. So this mono sleeve we have here, I'll be joining the shoulder with 1/2 inch. I'll be joining the shoulder with 1/2 inch. Then for the sides of this dress, I'll be joining it with the 1.5 sewing inches that we added while cutting it. Now, why I told you to measure in this before adding the ruffle is so that when your shaping this dress, it won't affect your ruffle, but rather it will just go ahead and go directly back onto the stitches that you made before. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the 1.5 inch to join the sides from the armhole all the way down to the full length, and also do the same thing for this side. And while joining it, make sure that your ruffles are inward this way. Your ruffles should not be this way, if not it will not come out nice. So just make sure your ruffles are inward this way, and go ahead to use the 1.5 or any stitching allowance that you use dual cutting to join the sides. And I'll also go ahead and fold the full length of this dress. Then afterward, I'll show you how to be opening the slit of your dress. So basically at this point, I'm done shaping the sides of this dress. This is the wrong side of it, and as you can see, my ruffles were inward while shaping, and I went ahead to stitch directly on that ruffle line. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this up for us to see what it looks like. So at the end of the day, this is what we have here. Our ruffle is ready. This is the front part of our dress, and this is the neck area. I joined the shoulder just like I told you earlier. So this is what the sides are looking like. I don't know if you can see. So this is the ruffle part of it. Now for our slit, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to the wrong side of the back piece, as you can see. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure where I want my slit to be. Now remember that my knee length is 42 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 42 inches here. But instead of marking 42 inches directly, I'll be going up by 4 to 5 inches for ease. Now you don't mark your knee length directly on your knee length. So I have 42 here, but instead of 42, I'll be marking 4 or 5 inches upward. So I'm going to be doing 5 inch for it to enable me walk. So 42. So I have 38 here. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 38. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up our back piece, starting from this full length all the way down to this point. So after opening the back piece, as you can see from that point that I told you, I'm having an opening here. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my hemming gum, or to stitch it down. You can go ahead and stitch it down. That's from this 1 inch that is inward for you to get a clean edge, or you can go ahead and use a hemming gum to hold down this part that is inward for you to not to show. So that is basically the end of this tutorial. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. See you in our next video. Bye.